Hi, thank you for joining me, Wendy Anderson at justbe.me. So in this video I want to talk about what's your story. So meeting with a really lovely friend this afternoon, and we stopped and had a picnic. Even though it was forecast raining, I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to pack the food anyway in a rug and see what happens. So in our conversation we were talking about stories and what's going on in our lives, and for me it was a lack of finances and abundance at the moment, but that's my story. So I started to talk about where these limiting beliefs about my self-worth and money were coming from, and as a child, I always remember my mum always had this strange concept that anyone that had money or was she deemed posh or anything like that, she always said, oh no, they weren't a nice person, or so there's some strange belief systems in my subconsciousness pre-programmed in there from when I was a child. So I'm thinking I can't be a nice person if the flow of abundance and finances come to me, or I'm not worthy of having this flow of abundance coming into me. So kind of all these limiting beliefs that have become my story that I wasn't even aware of. So talking to my friend as well, he was telling me about the last 2 weeks he's been he has asthma and he's been suffering from hay fever, itching eyes, sneezing. He says, oh, last night, he says, my throat felt like I was closing up and that I couldn't breathe. I've been really suffering. And we were talking about what stories that we were holding on to in our subconscious, and as we were talking about it, kind of like everything is coming out, it's bubbling to the surface, these deep programs that we were carrying, me about finances, him about his health. So my health is amazing and his finances are amazing. He started doing affirmations around his finances, and he says, oh, checks started flowing in. He's got vouchers to go stay places and trips to take and all these things that he can, stay at this youth hostel for a year for £1 and all these things. And, my flow of abundance, and it's kind of like, what? But, I know my health from having Lyme disease and everything, that I'm 100% worthy of having, 1,000% amazing health. Whereas his story, he's always had the asthma, didn't feel worthy of having 1,000% health. But the really funny thing was, after we were talking about the stories and maybe it's time to put them down to start a new chapter in our lives, mine finances, his health, and we had the picnic, went for a walk, and then we got back to the car and he went, do you know what, Wendy? He says, I've not sneezed. He says, my hay fever, he says, we've been sitting on the grass and having a picnic. And he says, ordinarily this would be my worst nightmare. And he says, I'm feeling absolutely fine. I'm okay. I've got no symptoms. So again, this is really powerful how the mind and our programs can really affect our body, can affect our lives, can affect our relationships. So the thought always precedes the matter. In every situation. And I says, really funny, I says, hopefully when I get home or tomorrow, I says, I'm going to have checks kind of like coming in my letterbox and vouchers to go to places and things like that. So we shall see. So this was my adventures today that I just wanted to talk about. That what's your story? How can you change it? How can you rewrite it? And if you rewrite your story, then you rewrite your health, you rewrite your lifestyle, you rewrite your finances, and you rewrite your relationships. So it's having a little bit of look into those shadows and the subconsciousness, and seeing what programs and story that you are carrying and telling yourself. And it's like me as well, it's kind of like you're coming up to the bill times and it's kind of like, oh, well, yeah, I've paid all that, but I just haven't got quite enough to pay that won. And it's kind of almost kind of like a validation of, see, that was my story. See, I told you, you know, I'm unlucky, or I'm not abundant enough. So it's kind of like the story is the validation. So it's almost try to change your story, and hopefully the circumstances you'll see the change in the outcome. So I shall leave these thoughts with you this evening. Have an amazing evening. Lots of love out there. And thank you so much for joining me and listening. Thank you very much. As well, please like and subscribe. The more subscribers I get, the more lives that I can do, and the more the messages I can get out to everyone, and pass on these messages as well to friends and family and loved ones as well. So we are all trying to do the best we can, living our best life, but I know every single one of us sometimes, like today, I had a beautiful prompt from my friend. We had the same thing going on, just in a different way. So when we talk on one another and we create communities and dialogues, that's how we can learn from one another as well. So let's get creating, let's get dialoguing, let's build communities. And again, thank you for joining me. Take care. Bye.